Welcome back to another episode of Black Art is Lit. This is part 2 of Sassafrass, Cypress, and Indigo. And when we last left the text, Indigo had just came into her menstrual cycle. And one of the things that I loved about this text is you don't hear about a lot of women or young girls entering their menstrual cycle in such a way. Remember, she was bathed in a bath of flowers, and then she was sent into the backyard to allow her flow to drip on the flowers and become one with nature. And yes, it was very ritualistic, but it was definitely something I enjoyed with that piece. So we'll pick up from there for part 2. Indigo, I don't want to hear another word about it. Do you understand me? I'm not setting the table with my Sunday china for 15 dolls who got their period today. But Mama, I promised everybody we were going to have a party because we were growing up and could be more like women. That's what Sister Mary Louise said. She said that we should feast and celebrate with our very best dresses and our very favorite foods. Sister Mary Louise needs to get herself married before she's lost what little of a mind she's got left. I don't want you going around that simple woman's house. You take my good velvet from between those dolls' legs. Go to the store and buy yourself some Kotex. Then you come back here and pack those creatures up. Put them in the attic. Bring yourself back here, and I'm going to tell you the truth of what you should be worrying about now that you're such a grown woman. Mama, I can't do that. I can't put them away. I'll have nobody to talk to. Nobody at all. Indigo, you're too big for this nonsense. Do like I say now. Mama, what if I stopped carrying Miranda in the street with me and left my other friends upstairs all the time? Could I leave them out then? Could I? Please, Mama? I know they're dollies. I really do. Sassafrass and Cypress kept all the things they made when they were little, didn't they? That's a lie. Don't you have all their dolls? I can't believe a girl as big as you, wearing a training bra and stockings to the school, can't think of nothing but make-believe. But if you promise me you're going to leave them up in your room and stop asking me to sing to them, feed them, and talk with them, you can leave them out. Now go on to the store. Indigo left her lesson book on the kitchen table, went to her mother tearing collards by the sink, and gave her a big hug. Her mother's apron always smelled like cinnamon and garlic, no matter how many times it was washed. It smelled of times like this when her mother felt a surge in her bosom, like her nipples were exploding with milk again, leaving her damp and sweet, but now it was Indigo's tears that softened her spirit. Indigo, you're my littlest baby, but you make it hard for me sometimes, you know that? Mama, I can make it easier today, because I already know what it was you were going to tell me when I came back from the store. You do? Do you? Yeah. You were going to tell me that since I became a woman, boys were going to come around more often because they could follow the trail of stars that fall from between my legs after dark. What? The stars that fall from between my legs can only be seen by boys who are pure of mind and strong of body. Indigo, listen to me very seriously. This is Charleston, South Carolina. Stars don't fall from little colored girls' legs. Little boys don't come chasing after you for nothing good. White men roam these parts with evil in their blood, and every single thought they have about a colored woman is dangerous. You have got to stop living this make-believe. Please do that for your mother. Every time I tell you something, you tell me about white folks. White folks say you can't go here. White folks say you can't do this, you can't do that. I didn't make up white folks. What they got to do with me? I ain't white. My dolls ain't white. I don't go around bothering white folks. That's right. They come around bothering us. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Well, if they bothering you so much, you do something about them. Is that some sass coming out your mouth? No, ma'am. It's just I don't understand why any old white person from out of nowhere would want to hurt us, that's all. Indigo moved to her mother with a seriousness about her that left the kitchen emptied of all of its fullness and aroma. I love you so much, Mama, and you are a grown colored woman. Some white man could just come and hurt you anytime he wants to. Oh, I could just kill him if they hurt you, Mama. I would. I would just kill anybody who hurt you. Holding her child as tight as she could, as close into herself as she could, the mother whispered as softly as she could, as lovingly as she could, well, then we'll both be careful and look after each other, won't we? Indigo sort of nodded her head, but all she remembered was that even her mother was scared of white folks and that she still wrote out the word Kotex on a piece of torn paper wrapped up in a dollar bill to give to Mr. Lucas round to the pharmacy. This, though, Indigo insisted, Mr. Lucas must know what it is, because he ordered it for his store so all the other colored women could have it when they needed it. After all, even her mother said this bleeding comes without fail to every good girl once a month. Sometimes her mother made no sense at all, Indigo thought with a great consternation. On the other hand, as a gesture of goodwill and in hopes that her littlest girl would heed her warnings, the mother allowed Indigo one more public jaunt with Miranda, who was, according to Indigo, fraught with grief that their outings were to be curtailed. Weeping willows curled up from the earth, reaching over Indigo and Miranda on this, their last walk in a long friendship, a simple, laughing friendship. Miranda thought the weeping willows were trying to hug them, to pull them up to the skies where whether you were real or not didn't matter. Indigo, in her most grown-up voice, said, "No, they want us to feel special on this day, that's all." Miranda wasn't convinced, and neither was Indigo, who managed to take the longest walk to the drugstore that her family had ever known. After following the willows' trellises till there were no more, Indigo reverently passed by Mrs. Yancey's, back round to Sister Mary Louise's, down to the wharf where she and Miranda waved to her father, who was living in the sea with mermaids, and then crossed to the railroad tracks, looking for Uncle John. Indigo liked colored folks who worked with things that took them someplace. Colored folks on ships, trains, trolleys, and horses. Yoki was a horse. Uncle John did go places. And after that night with Mr. Yancey in the street, Indigo figured him mighty powerful. In between two lone railroad cars was Uncle John's wagon, sequestered from ill wishers in the wind. There he was, chatting away with the air. The cars are Yoki. Sometimes men in color disappear into the beauty of the light, especially towards the day's end. It's like clouds take on color and get down on the ground and talk to you. Or the stars jump in some black man's body and shine all over you. Uncle John was looking like that in Indigo's mind, just brushing away, leaving Yoki's coat glimmering like dust. "Good evening, Uncle John." Mr. Henderson turned around, not knowing full well who come calling, but not wanting to know. "Oh, if it ain't my girl Indigo, and who's that you got with you?" "This is Miranda. We're going to Mr. Lucas to pick up something." Indigo was quite careful not to say what she was going to the drugstore for, because her mother had said not to say anything to anybody. "Indigo, Mr. Lucas' place way off from here, don't you think?" "Well, Uncle John, that's some of it, but not all of it." Laying down his brush, pulling a stool from the other side of a fireplace where he was cooking either a chicken or a pigeon, Uncle John motioned for Indigo to take a seat. "Some of it, but ain't all of it, you say?" "Well, I would be guessing the rest of it be a matter for discussion." "Yes, Uncle John. I want you to tell me something. I'm asking you because you've been doing what suits your own mind since I was born." "No, long for that, child." "Well, anyway, I want to keep on talking with all my dolls. You know they my very best friends." Indigo was talking so fast now, Uncle John started walking in a circle around her so as to understand better. "And Mama wants me to put on weight because I'm a woman, and who will I talk to? I can't seem to get on with the children at the school I go to. I don't like real folks near as much." Indigo had jumped off the stool with Miranda in her arms, much like a woman daring someone to touch her child. Uncle John stood still for a minute, looking at the shadows of the rail cars on Yoki's back. "Indigo, time catches up on everybody. Me and Yoki here been catched up by trains and grocery stores. Now you being catched up by your growing up. That's what your mama's trying to tell you. You got to try to be more in this world. I know it don't suit me either." Miranda was crying and nestled in Indigo's elbow. Uncle John muttered to himself and climbed in his wagon. Indigo stayed put. Folks said sometimes when Uncle John had said all he had to say, he got in his wagon and that was that. Other times, folks said Uncle John would get in his wagon and come back out with something to keep your life moving along sweeter. So Indigo didn't move a muscle. Miranda prayed some good would come of all this. They still hadn't gone to Mr. Lucas. Indigo could hear Uncle John humming to himself, fumbling in that wagon. He was looking for something for her so she could keep talking and not have to be with them real folks and all their evil, complicated ways of doing. The last of the day's sun settled on Indigo's back, warmed the taunt worry out of her limbs, and sat her back down on the stool, jabbering away to Miranda. "See, you thought that I was just going to go and do what Mama said and never play with you no more. I go explore and make believe. See, you didn't have no faith." "What's that?" Sister Mary Louise is all the time saying. "Oh, ye a little faith," Miranda rejoined. Uncle John didn't come out of his wagon first. A fiddle did. Uncle John was holding it, of course, but he poked the fiddle out, then one leg, his backside, and the other leg. his precious graying head, and a last arm with the bow in his grasp. Indigo and Miranda were suspicious. "What we need a violin for?" Miranda sniggled. "Hush, Miranda. Uncle John knows what he's doing. Just wait a minute, will you?" Uncle John sure enough had intentions to give this fiddle to Indigo. His face was beaming, arms wide open with the fiddle and bow, tracing the horizons moving toward Indigo, who was smiling with no reason why. "Indigo, this here is your new talking friend." "A fiddle, Uncle John?" Indigo tried to hide her disappointment, but Miranda hit her in the stomach. That's not what I need, Uncle John." She sat back on the stool like she had lost her backbone. Uncle John was taken back a bit, but not swayed. "Listen now, girl. I'm going to tell you some matters of the reality of the unreal in times blacker than these." Uncle John waved the violin and bow towards the deepening night. "When them slaves was ourselves and we couldn't talk free or walk free, who you think be doing our talking for us?" "White folks, of course," snapped Indigo. Uncle John's face drew up on his bone like a small, furious fire. His back shot up from his legs like a mahogany log. "What you say, gal? I can't believe you told me some white folks was doing our talking. Now, if you want me to help you, don't say nary another word to tell me I'm telling you till I'm finished. Now, listen. Them white folks that owned slaves took everything, was ourselves, and didn't even keep it for their own selves. Just threw it on away, you hear? Took them drums, what they could, but they couldn't take our feet. Took them languages, what we speak, took off with our spirits and left us with their son. But the fiddle was the talking one. The fiddle be calling our gods what left us be, giving back some devilment and hoping our bodies worn down and lonely over these fields and kitchens. While white folks so dumb, they was thinking that if we didn't have nothing of our own, they could come controlling, meddling, whipping our sense on out of us. But the colored smart, you see. The color got some wits to him, you and me. We ain't the onlyest ones be talking with the unreal. What you think music is? What you think the blues be? And them get happy church music is about. But talking with the unreal was more real than most folks ever gonna know. With that, Uncle John placed the fiddle in the middle of his arm and began to make conversations with Miranda and Indigo. Yes. Conversations, talking to him, moving to an understanding of other words, putting the rhythm in a good sit down and visit, bringing the light out and a good cry, chasing the night back round yonder. Uncle John pulled that bow. He bowed that bow, let it flirt with those strings to Miranda and Indigo were most talking in tongues. Like the slaves who were ourselves had so much to say, they all went on at once in the voices of the children, this child, Indigo. When Indigo first tried to hold the fiddle under her neck, like the children in the orchestra at school, Uncle John just chuckled, looked away. When she had placed it nearer her armpit and closer to her heart, with the bow tucked in deliberately into her palm, he said, "Now talk to us, girl." Indigo hesitated, pulled the bow toward a string, took a breath and stopped. "I don't know how to play a violin, Uncle John." "Yeah, you do. Tell Miranda something on that fiddle, 'cause after today, you won't be able to reach out to her like you do now. You're going to have to call her out with that fiddle." Indigo looked at Miranda lying on the stool and then back at Uncle John, whose eyes were all over her face, the fiddle, the bow, and in a moment, like a fever, Indigo carried that bow, crossed those fiddle strings to Miranda knew how much her friend loved her. To the slaves who were ourselves made a chorus round the fire. To Indigo was satisfied she wasn't silenced. She had so many tongues, so many spirits who loved her real and unreal. The South in her. It was already so late, Mr. Lucas had started to lock up his shop. Only the lights in the very back were still on. Indigo held onto her violin with its musty case religiously, and she beat on the doors of the pharmacy like somebody possessed. "Please open up, Mr. Lucas. It's an emergency," she shouted. Mr. Lucas, portly and honey brown, peered out the door through the lettering, Lucas Pharmacy, oldest Negro drugstore in Charleston, South Carolina. Between the S and the C, there was Indigo's face, churning and shouting. Mr. Lucas opened up, remarking, "An emergency is somebody dying or a woman who needs some Kotex." Indigo was stunned. "Hi, Mr. Lucas. How'd you know that?" "Oh, I've been in this business a long time, Indigo. Tell your mother she almost missed me this time." "Oh, it's not for Mama. It's for me." All of a sudden, Indigo blushed and shrank. She had gone and done what her mother had asked her please not to do. Mr. Lucas took a step toward Indigo like he was looking for the woman in her. He had seen younger girls than Indigo who was busy having babies. He'd even seen girls more comely in a grown woman manner than she who didn't bleed at all. But here was this girl with this child body and woman in her all at once. It was difficult for Mr. Lucas to just go and get the Kleenex. He wanted to keep looking at this girl, this woman. He wanted to know what she felt like. Indigo heard somebody talking to her. She saw Mr. Lucas coming toward her and somebody talking to her, telling her to get the Kotex and come home quick. Get the Kotex and get home quick. Indigo ran to the back of the store, grabbed the blue box, stuffed it under her arm with Miranda, and whipped through the aisles with Mr. Lucas behind her. Lumbering, quiet. The fiddle was knocking all kinds of personal hygiene products off the shelves. Toothpaste, deodorant, shaving cream. Indigo almost dropped it, but she held tighter, moved faster, heard somebody telling her to get home quick. She got to the door, started to look back and didn't. She just opened the door and best she could without letting go of anything, ran out. Mr. Lucas stood in the back of his pharmacy, looking at his SC certification, his diploma from Atlanta University. He knew he might be in some trouble. Didn't know what had got hold to him. Every once in a while, he saw a woman with something he wanted, something she shouldn't have. He didn't know what it was, an irrelevance, an insolence, like the bitch thought she owned the moon. Yeah, that's right, Mr. Lucas, relax. The whole town know that child's craze. If she says a thing, won't a soul put no store in it. The South in her. To rid oneself of the scent of evil. Though it may cause some emotional disruption, stand absolutely still and repeat the offender's name till you are overwhelmed with the memory of your encounter. Take 2 deep, slow breaths on a 7 count. Then waving your arms and hands all about you so your atmosphere may again be clean, say the name of the offender softly, each time blowing your own breath into the world that we may all benefit from your renewal. Then in a hot place, your kitchen or out of doors, cover yourself in warm clay. Let them dry on you, taking the poisons of the offender out of your body and spirit. Run a steaming shower over your body, allowing all grime and others to fall from you without using your hands or a cloth. Then run yourself a new tub full of warm water, filled with angelica and chamomile. Bring to your bath a tall, clear glass of spring water wherein floats one closed white flower. Lying in your fragrant bath, sip the rose's water for you are again among nature's flowers. For modern times, drink a strong mix of lemon tea and honey. This, if you not cheated, should bring sweat to your brow. This is the poison the offender has left lurking. As you sweat, draw a bath that sends steam up towards your face. If you are valiant or purposeful, revenge should not be considered in most cases. Only during wars of national liberation, to restore the honor of the race or to redress personal and familiar trauma, may we consider brute force annihilation. Or on your knees, take a piece of cotton or silk to which you feel attached and that bodies of happier times. Fill it with caraway seeds. Tie it with the ribbon that is your oldest female relative's favorite color. Float it in your bath. Stand naked over your tub. Kiss your right shoulder, then your left. Step breathingly, briskly into the water. You shall be cleaned of all the offender's toxic presence. Indigo did not tell her mother about Mr. Lucas being so evil, nor did she mention that her new fiddle could talk. These notions would bring her mother's ire up and out. Nowadays, Indigo minded what she said and to whom. Some folks you tell things, and some folks you don't. With the dolls all lined up in her room now, no longer going calling, coming down for dinner, Indigo kept her window open all the time. She told her mother this was just for health reasons. Why New England people sleep with the windows open in snow gives the body and spirit strength. Now her mother didn't want her own windows open, but it seemed like Indigo was making more reasonable connections. The window in the child's room stayed open. Indigo invited the moon in to sing to her doll companions, mute though they were. She thought they had trouble sleeping. When the night air danced about them, leaving the shivers of that embrace, Indigo would take out her violin and play the way she learned, letting the instrument speak right up, giving another space to all the feelings her little girl body could not always contain. The talking music aroused the dolls to celebrate. Indigo sat in her window working with her fiddle, telling everybody, the wind and all of his brothers, what was on her mind, the turmoil in her spirit realm. The reality she meandered in her sleep. Whenever she wanted to pray, she let her fiddle talk. Whenever she was angry, here came the fiddle. All the different ways of handling a violin came to Indigo as she needed. Then came legato, staccato, andante forte, piano allegro presto. Indigo, we're going to have to talk about this violin. Indigo was startled by her mother's nocturnal visit. The breeze felt good on her face. Indigo turned gently from the soft rumble of a sea-town night to her mother. Oh, I'm so glad, Mama. I wanted to talk to you about the fiddle some more, but I was afraid you... Why, Indigo, how could you think I wouldn't find somebody to give you lessons? I gave Sassafrass every weaving lesson she asked for. Sent Cypress to New York for her dancing. Why wouldn't I give you violin lessons? Surely there's one brave soul in Charleston who will take this terrible playing child of mine. Indigo looked at her mother for a long while. Her mother feeling very proud of her daughter who tried to teach herself how to play the fiddle, who had given up talking out of her head, talking only to her dolls. She glanced at her child's handiwork. Marie Helene, Miranda, Susie Q, Candace, Lily fingering their hats and petticoats delicately. Now Indigo was involved with music, which she would be as diligent and loving about as she had about her dolls, her companions as she called them. The mother looked over to Indigo, still sitting in the window. Not a word did she say. There in the window with her violin in an acceptable rest position. Now, Indigo, what do you say to real violin lessons and closing that window so our neighbors can be spared this racket till you learned a bit more? Approaching her daughter with some glee, the mother stopped when Indigo turned her back, stood up, and began making those strange, erratic, annoying songs she played each night that Mrs. Fixer had complained about twice, along with the Daltons. Even Mr. Epp, who lived 3 doors down and across the street, had stopped on his way to the post office to say, "Please do something about those noises from your house, or I'll have to call the constable round this way." No, Indigo would not have her way this time. She wasn't going to be run out of her own home because Indigo was playing the violin. She had to have some lessons because these folks didn't realize the passion her daughter had for the violin. Indigo, I promise you, I'll get you the best teacher I can find. Indigo stopped slowly. C, 5th position, D string. Mama, I'm happy with how the fiddle's taught. Sounding now. I don't want any lessons at all. I just want to play. Thinking her mother was relieved, Indigo left the window. She put the violin away, even closed the curtains. Indigo smiled up at her mother, who had a most curious expression. No matter what she did, Indigo was always beyond her reason. A good girl, yet out of reach. Mama, what's wrong? I said you don't have to get me lessons. I'm just fine. Indigo, you may have those lessons whenever you like, and I mean that. But until you decide to take them, I can't allow you to make that noise in my house. I've got enough trouble on my hands without having every neighbor I've got thinking we got banshees living here at night. Besides, Mrs. Fishner herself even mentioned to me how unpleasant your violin playing actually is right now. I don't mean to say you won't be a wonderful musician in the future. But Indigo, you may not submit the whole world to your will. No lessons, no violin playing under this roof. Indigo sat back on her bed between Candace and Marie Helene, who whispered, "Listen, I've got an idea, Indigo. Mama, would you be mad if I played it someplace else? Outside? Somewhere?" Imagining she could use a nice hot toddy, the mother was going out Indigo's door when she turned around to say that Indigo could take the violin anywhere out of the neighborhood and make any noise she liked, because then she would have to talk to strangers beseeching her, "Please get a lesson, girl," which is precisely what her mother had said. Indigo patted the violin by her bed, exactly where Aunt Haiti kept her shotgun. "No, Mama, that's not what's going to happen." She kissed Miranda goodnight and went to sleep. Her mother left a glass of cider and a deep chocolate on Indigo's nightstand. It was midnight and the moon was full. Sister Mary Louise put Indigo and her violin behind a shed where she kept her gardening tools, shovels, vitamins for roses and violets, peat moss, watering cans, heavy gloves, rakes, and strings. Too much of the Holy Ghost came out of Indigo and that fiddle. Sister Mary Louise swore even she couldn't stand that much spirit every day. Back there behind the shed, Indigo is just fine. Come anytime you like. If I feel caught, I'ma come on out and listen. That's what Sister Mary Louise had decided about that. Good for the plants. Too much order, too much gentility, and make my flowers more prim than glorious. We all need a little wilderness. So here came Indigo every day after school, playing her new medium out back. Indigo wanted to sound like the sparrows and rings. She mimicked the jays and peckers. Conversing with gulls was easy because they saw her daddy's soul every day. Indigo had mastered the hum of dust, the crescendos of the cicadas, swamp rushes and light winds, thunder at high tide, and her mother's laughter down the hall. Uncle John told her one time they were frying porgies by his wagon that he had got this feeling in his waking up that Indigo was dwelling dangerous on the misery of the slaves who were ourselves, and this feeling directed him to march her toward the beauty of this world and the joys of the house of those come before us. Indigo couldn't get enough. No creature that moved escaped Indigo's attention. If the fiddle talked, it also rumbled, called, rustled, screamed, sighed, sirened, giggled, stumped, and sneered. Every once in a while, Indigo even played songs. Some colored singing. Tina Turner, B.B. King, Etta James, they songs. This was a secret. Indigo had some pride and couldn't admit to those who claimed she made noise all the time that she found out the difference between her free communion with the universe, primal, unrelenting fights, and melody. She played these softly for herself. Then she blushed, hurriedly put the fiddle back into the case, the colored and romance having got the best of her. Young boys were alien to her. She didn't want to be a fool in love, have something terrible get a hold of her. When she had enough of sweetheart, baby, and please, 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 Indigo yelped, "Oh, Sister Mary Louise, you missed that." There was something moving up her leg, something that was not supposed to be there. Indigo looked down, lost a little fear, just a twig. How was a twig going up and down the inside of her leg, tickling her like the sweethearts and babies she'd been playing? Indigo looked cautiously behind her where two brown-skinned boys leaned over Mary Louise's fence. "Get that twig from between my legs. We was just trying to get your attention. You so busy fiddling you don't see nobody. Where you learn to play like that, gal?" "My name ain't Gal, and I taught myself. Now go on way and leave me be, please." Indigo hoped they hadn't heard her playing songs, but her wild sounds. She had a hunch it was them romance riffs that brought these fellows by the shed. Nobody ever came behind Sister Mary Louise's house. There were devils, mandingo giants, cauldron elves, and wayward ghosts in her shed. "What's your name, sweetheart?" the taller boy asked. This one in worn jeans, particularly frayed at the edges, the way the Geechee captains wore theirs when they went crabbing. His head was shaved to keep from the wingworm, Indigo surmised. But the boy had such a pretty head. It was not flat in the back, a pancake head, nor was it all forced up above his eyes, a watershed. No, this boy had a pretty nutmeg head. He was still slipping that stick around Indigo's ankle, though, and she told him to stop. The other boy was real stocky, a flat head, but high cheekbones. Indigo recognized the blood of that colored family married Chinese. They all looked like that. Still, there was no doubt she had told them to leave her be, and they didn't. Indigo closed her eyes tight like she was fixing to run or scream. Instead, she said, "Fallon, come in this fiddle. Falcon, come in this fiddle. Leopard, come in this fiddle. Leopard, come in this fiddle. I'm on the prey. I'm on the prey." For she knew it. Indigo was so busy bowing the daylights and jungle out her violin, she didn't notice the two boys ducked down on the other side of the fence. When she opened her eyes, she realized she stood her ground and that stick was no longer between her legs. She smiled a tiny smile, peered over the fence, tapped the tall boy's shin with the tip of the bow. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Indigo chirped, so full of herself. The boys brushed the sand from their knees, grinned self-consciously. "I'm Spats," the tall boy answered, "and this here's Crunch. We junior Geechee captains." Indigo held her tongue. "Why, imagine that. Y'all junior GC? Ain't that something? I'm Indigo." Spats jumped over the fence first. He reached for Indigo's fiddle. She pulled it away gracefully. "I can't let anyone touch my instrument. It's bad luck." Spats shrugged his shoulders. "Hey, whatever you say. Ain't that right, Crunch?" Crunch, banging tough in the alleyway, was hardly enthusiastic. A girl with a violin had got him down on his knees in broad daylight. "What the hell was you doing on that damn thing?" Crunch grumbled, messing with his elbows, his thick crop of black hair meeting his furrowed, indignant brow. "I was fighting back in my own way. That's what I was doing, and you know it. Come putting a stick between my legs like I ain't got no better sense than to let you do it because you boys. Uncle John, he spoke to me on that. He said, Indigo, when trouble come, get on your fiddle. Spats and Crunch stared at each other. How could a girl know Uncle John? What was Uncle John giving some girl all this advice and counsel? Why their seniors, the real Geechee captains, held counsel with Uncle John? Very impressed, a little riled, the two boys folded their arms across their chests and began a culturally recognized and universally feared ritual, the Geechee Capitan Cockwalk. Spat took off his sweatshirts with no sleeves, a slit down the middle, turned inside out anyway, threw it on the ground. Crunch peeled his black t-shirt from his ample torso, threw it on the ground. They clapped their hands. Clap, 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 clap. Spit on the ground, once to the east and once to the west. Then they walked in a circle around Indigo. Slow and don't mess around, clockwise. Slow and this might be the last time, counterclockwise. Again, again, clap, 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 clap. Indigo had been around long enough to know that she was either being initiated or about to die. Crunch was not too excited about the powers of her fiddling. Spats was probably more physical than his slight frame intimidated. Indigo held her breath. Next thing was going to happen was somebody would break the rhythm, and whoever that was had better be on the case or die. Spats moved first fast, had Indigo on his small shoulders before Crunch could move all of himself anywhere. There was still the possibility that Crunch might plow into them or belly whip him to tumble. Spats glanced up at Indigo, who was delighted to be such a prize and safe. Crunch kept his flat face straight. Aight, man, she in. Indigo jumped off of Spats, jubilant. The real world was working its way up. Crunch didn't like that she was a girl, but whoever could scare a GC, even the junior GCs, had the right to be initiated or die. Plus, as somebody who was already a GC had to put his honor on the line to really save the person from all the rest or do harm to the person in the face of all the other GCs. Now, it was also true there was only 2 members of the junior Geechee captains, Spats and Crunch. That's because they hadn't met anybody could fight as well as they could. Till Indigo. Crunch really didn't like that she was a girl. Spats liked that. Indigo had a moon in her mouth after all. With Spats and Crunch to run with, her workings, as she called them, were more down to earth. Indigo's specialties were other worlds, fiddling. Spats concentrated on hands, light knife throwing, get a watch off her wrist, agile hands. Crunch himself was moved by yearnings to tear the damn place down. Your place, you, anybody he had a hankering to. Awesome trio. The immediate problem was how to identify Indigo as a junior GC. Spats almost slapped the devil out of Crunch when he said, "Man, that's impossible. She a girl, how's she gonna look like us?" Spats snarled, "Ain't nothing impossible for a Geechee captain." With that, the two assembled Indigo's uniform. Because she wouldn't look right in an inside-out sweatshirt or in cutoffs like theirs, they decided on a hat. Spats stole a Stetson, the smallest one he saw in Kerrison's. They didn't like the color to try the hats on anyway. Crunch beat up some yellow Hicksy boy who was playing ball on King Street and took a fine leather belt off him. Then they decorated it with switchblade handles and a strap for Indigo to carry her fiddle around. What Geechee captain would walk around without having both hands free? In her new getup, Indigo was a fierce-looking little sister. She stuffed her braids up in her Stetson, dark brown hat and tilted over her left eye. Spats, Crunch, and Indigo all agreed that she was now presentable. Nevertheless, Crunch felt something was missing. "Hey, Spats, I know what's wrong. She ain't got a real name. You know, a name particular to us." Indigo had always liked her name. There was nothing wrong with her name. She was particularly herself. She changed the nature of things. She colored and made richer what was blank and plain. The slaves who were ourselves knew all about Indigo and Indigo herself. Besides, there was great danger in calling someone out their name. Spirits get confused, bring you something meant for someone else. Folks get upset, move with wrath instead of grace, when caught by a name not blessed and known on earth. Indigo was not hot on this new name business. After some discussion, Crunch accepted a shortening of Indigo to Digo. Spats had learned enough to know that in another language, Spanish to be exact, Digo had something to do with to say. And to his mind, Digo was really saying something. If she chose to get her fiddle, you best mind what she say. The South in her. Coming down Chastity or running through the yards, the junior GCs served notice that the colored children were manifestations of the 20th century. No mythology in the old slave mart approached their realities. Nothing in the Calhoun house reminded them of themselves. Catfish Row was so old-fashioned. Dusted pastel-framed houses were where hominy grits, oysters, and okra steamed each way. Yet they smiled if somebody had a high streak of bad luck, sending yelps and bass guffaws over their roofs. Here, Digo, Crunch, and Spats performed, mixing the skills of modern wayward children with pastimes of the more traditional colored. They especially liked to go round to Sneed's. Now, Sneed's was a bakery, fresh breads, muffins, cakes, and cookies every day. But the reason the junior GC spent so much time there was that Sneed's was connected to a winding complex of underground rooms where gambling, cockfights, and a 24-hour social room entertained the most adventurous of Charleston's colored subterraneans. Spat's brother, Pretty Man, made sure that the transactions and varying gaming activities stayed calm. Whenever possible, Pretty Man believed that money should change the hands in his favor, calmly, of course. Actually, the bakers in their high white hats and flower-colored aprons carried more than dough downstairs directly under the ovens. They took the daily number receipts down to the caverns, as they were called, and came back up to the muffins and turnovers with the possible change of lifestyle for a confirmed pastry gourmet. Indigo didn't mind the numbers. She played a few from time to time. That meant new dress-up clothes, strings for the violin, a Sunday chapeau for Mama, and spinning change for the spirits who still kept Indigo company late at night. Numbers for prosperity and further independence of the race. 164 is searching for heart and 164 is searching for hearth and home, more secure familial relations. 626 is desirous of a journey to one's true home, spiritual or physical. Play once a week for a month. 208 if in need of immediate assistance for ordinary amenities. Play only on Monday. 176 is seeking a larger dwelling for one's family. This works in conjunction with 164. 508 if yearning for retreat and personal solitude. Play on 5 consecutive Wednesdays. 141 if conflicted by the stresses of racism. Play twice a week for 5 years. 999 to be free from deliberating relations, physical or otherwise daily. Realizing spirits hints what your dreams can do for you. If you see a gull flying over your home, there is a 7 in your combination. If the gull swoops downward, there is also a 2. If the gull flies towards the moon, there is a 9. If your mother is burning something on the stove and you cannot get up to warn her, play 1. If she is burning up something you are able to warn her, play 7. If what your mother is cooking and burning is your favorite dish, that's a 1, 2, 3 in a combination. If there is a lover of yours kissing your best friend in the house, there are 3s in your number. If you are angry about this, your number is 353. If you find it amusing, your number is 333. If you keep falling down in your dream, there's surely an 8 in your number. It's where you are falling is never reached or is unknown at 1. If you fall somewhere, change that to 6. General notes: flowers 719, a car 520, fires 882, beds 231, the Christ child 777, the crucifix 111, Judas, someone you know, or Iscariot 001, a deceased grandmother 803, a deceased grandfather 902, mulberry bushes 756, maggots 395, guns 246. So we're going to end here for part 2. And Indigo is surely making her way. I will tell you, the part about Mr. Lucas is really interesting. I've been in a number of groups where we've, had conversation where, it's always interesting to hear what other people have taken from a text of work. You have the opportunity to get, and, especially when you have something while it's ambiguous, it strikes a chord with many women. And it's just always interesting to hear just the different perspectives on that. But nonetheless, we all agreed that something happened to Indigo in the presence of Mr. Lucas that evening. I asked, when it talked about Indigo finding a fiddle, I love the explanation of how, we took our languages, it took our tongues and put it into fiddle, put it into song, put it into music. That's something I greatly believe. I love all types of music. I'm able to express myself greatly through music. I cannot sing a lick. I probably sing like it'll like she played that fiddle when she thought she was playing, but the neighbors was knocking. But oh gosh. However, I do believe that music is very important to our people, to our culture especially. I also love how she's found herself a little group to get into, and it's interesting. This is Gullah Geechee and our Charleston area, and that's pretty much is talking about that time period. And so in talking about what would have been our considered early gangs or groups, or the capitans, and they're the junior capitans, and it's interesting to mix in that feminist theory, to have to induct a young female into what is typically or would have been considered a all boy group. So I love the mixing up of those typical norms. However, I do thank you for joining in on this episode, and I hope that you come back and check us out a little bit later. All right.